Okay, so recently I've been teaching you about Sonosubs, and it occurred to me that while teaching you about Sonosubs, I haven't really talked about some of the errors that people make, or most common mistakes that people make when actually designing a Sonosub. And so I want to go ahead and show you some mistakes that people make when creating a Sonosub. And they're very easy to make, especially if you don't know how to, if you've never done this before. And so what we're going to do is just really quickly go over some of those and teach you what not to do. All right. So what we're doing right now is we're building a Sonosub. This is our beautiful Sonotube enclosure, and on top is a 12-inch subwoofer. The number one mistake that I see that when people are building, in fact, any speaker, this doesn't even have to be a Sonosub, this can be any speaker at all, is that they put the port directly in the center. So if this was, say, a 4-inch port, right here, they would put it directly behind the subwoofer. Now that can be problematic. This obviously depends on what your tube looks like, and we'll talk about that here in a second. If your port goes directly straight up, so if this just continued right up into the subwoofer somewhere, well, that's a problem. It cannot be firing directly, the subwoofer cannot be firing directly into the port like that. It just doesn't get the back pressure that it's supposed to, and it will actually hurt your frequency response. So anytime you have a port that's directly behind the speaker, that can be a very bad thing. Now there's ways to get around that. One way is to make this port go up, but instead of ending directly straight up, put a 90 on it and put it out to the right or to the left, or either any way you want, but to make sure that the speaker doesn't fire directly into it. That's going to allow the speaker to get the back pressure that it needs to do that. That's assuming you want a middle port. Some people don't want a middle port, so what other people will do is they will take the port and offset it. Now that's another option, so you can offset it to the right or to the left. Now this is obviously on either one of the end caps, so this would be on the bottom or the top end cap. Now there's also another option. Some people want to use just this part for like a table, and so they want everything at the bottom. For this, I'm just going to shrink the subwoofer down just because it's easier for me to show, and we'll just make it an 8-inch sub. And what you can see is you can put the subwoofer here, and you can put something like the port there. And now all of it's on this one side. So that's another option that you have as well. So you have all of those options. So port location is very important. Now the second thing that goes along with port location is actually modeling this in a program like WinISD. It's a free program. If you don't know how to use it, just go ahead and I did a video series on it. It's a very easy program to get used to, and honestly it really pays to model this to make sure that you get the right frequency response that you really want from the sub. All right, now what's the second problem? The second problem is your subwoofer itself. A lot of people don't put any thought into what subwoofer they're going to put in a Sonotube. Well, that can be a problem, and the problem with that is sag. There is a sag formula, which basically says whether or not your particular driver is suitable for an upward or down firing subwoofer mount. Now, keep in mind that most of these subwoofers are going to be either up or down firing. Now, that's due to the effects of gravity, and it actually says all this right here on Parts Express website, so I don't need to read that to you. The point is, check out this formula with whatever subwoofer that you're going to use to see if it's actually good for a Sonosub or an up or down firing subwoofer configuration. Now, that even works for someone that wants to do a down firing subwoofer that isn't a Sonosub, so even a rectangular sub. So check out your sag. All right, now along with that, there's another issue that most people don't take into account, and that is its feet. So let's go ahead and draw a couple feet on here. I don't care what size they are, and we'll just do 3 for the time being. Most people don't pay attention to how tall their feet are off the ground. Now I'm here to say that each one of these feet should be at least 3 inches off the ground. Anything less than that is, once again, can be problematic. So you're going to want at least 3 feet. Now, a lot of people will actually say on a Sonosub they encourage a tripod, like a 3-legged, that just helps balance the floor better. That's up to you. So whatever you want to do, either 3 or 4 legs. But you do want them at least 3 inches. That gives the subwoofer plenty of air to breathe and also gives plenty of space. Now, you might be able to give or take a 1/4 inch or 2, but really 3 inches is the magic number there. All right, what's the last thing? The last thing is the Sonotube itself. Now, Sonotube is made for construction, and because of that, a lot of Sonotubes that you find or are given have been outside for a while. What you want to do is inspect that for water damage. So check the whole tube all around and see if any water damage has occurred. And anyone that knows cardboard can tell if there's been water damage done to it. If there has, you really shouldn't use that section of it because it does hurt the durability of the tube and can also actually create a hole in the tube with enough pressure. So you really don't want to use something that has water damage on it. So if it does, look for another tube. Alright guys, these are the most common mistakes that I see when someone builds a Sonosub. So I hope that you guys learned something, and if you did, always please give it a thumbs up. That really does help people see the channel and the videos, so definitely give it a thumbs up. And as always, like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment if you have one. I always love to hear from you guys. Alright, thanks guys, and have a great night.
Double-digit thousands.